The Galactic Council considered itself the supreme authority of the universe. It controlled trade, war, and the fate of entire civilizations. To the Council, humanity was nothing more than a primitive species, allowed to exist, but never allowed to expand. Humans have been warned before. Stay within your solar system. Obey the Council's laws. Know your place. But then, they made a terrible mistake. On a distant colony world, a young human girl named Lina Carter was taken by the Council's enforcers. The official reason: she had been near a restricted zone, a place where humans were not allowed. But the truth was darker. The Council believed Lina was special. They thought she held genetic secrets that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Her parents had begged for her return. Earth's diplomats had sent messages demanding negotiations. The Council ignored them. In their arrogance, they believed humanity would do nothing. After all, what could a young species do against the might of the Galactic Council? They never expected Earth's real response. In an underground base hidden deep beneath the frozen wastelands of Antarctica, a group of Earth's most powerful leaders gathered around a holographic display. The screen showed a massive fleet, ships unlike anything seen in the last 1,000 years. They were covered in dust, buried in the cold void of space, waiting to be awakened. The Titan fleet. Long ago, before the Council had ever noticed humanity, Earth had prepared for war. The first encounters with alien life had not been peaceful, and humanity had built weapons in secret, knowing that one day they might need them. But the war never came. The Council had declared peace, forcing humanity into submission. The Titan fleet was locked away, forgotten by time. Now it was time to bring it back. A general with silver hair and sharp eyes looked around the room. His voice was calm, but his words carried a weight that shook the air. They took one of ours. We take the war to them. The order was given. Across the solar system, hidden bases came alive with energy. Pilots who had never flown these ancient warships were trained in a matter of days. Engineers worked tirelessly to bring the old Titans back to full power. The world, once divided by nations and politics, united under a single cause. This was no longer about diplomacy. This was revenge. Meanwhile, deep inside a council prison on a distant moon, Lina sat in a cold metal cell. She was scared, but she was also angry. The aliens who took her spoke in a language she didn't understand, watching her like she was some kind of experiment. She didn't know why she was important, but she knew one thing for sure. Far beyond the orbit of Pluto, in the dark edges of the Kuiper Belt, massive warships began to stir, hidden in the void for centuries. The Titan fleet, Earth's greatest secret, was finally awakening. Inside the command center of Erebus Station, the underground base controlling the fleet, General Marcus Steele stood before a massive holographic display. The screen showed dozens of ancient battleships, their hulls scarred by time but still standing strong. Engineers and technicians worked tirelessly to bring them back to life. Sparks flew, metal groaned, and engines that had been silent for generations roared back to power. "This is it," Steele muttered, watching the fleet's status reports flicker to green. "They thought we were weak. They thought we would beg. They have no idea what's coming." Across the solar system, the call to arms spread like wildfire. Veteran soldiers, pilots, and engineers, many who had spent their lives in secret, waiting for this moment, were recalled to duty. Young recruits, raised on stories of humanity's past struggles, stepped forward to fight. For the first time in history, Earth was no longer divided by nations or politics. Humanity had one enemy, one mission, one war. At a secret training facility on Mars, ace pilot Lieutenant Aaron Vega climbed into the cockpit of a Titan-class destroyer, the Havoc 9. His fingers tightened around the controls as the AI system booted up. "Welcome back, pilot. It's been a long time." Vega smirked. "Let's see if you old warbirds still got some fight left." One by one, the Titan fleet's warships lifted off their docking stations, thrusters igniting in the darkness of space. Their massive shadows stretched for miles, each one carrying enough firepower to level entire planets. These were not just warships. They were monuments of vengeance. Meanwhile, on the Council's capital world, the High Chancellor sat in his towering chamber, unaware of the storm about to hit them. Reports of strange energy readings from the Sol system had been dismissed. The humans were weak after all. They had never fought a real war. But deep within the prison cells of a Council black site, a young girl named Lena Carter sat in silence, her hands clenched into fists. She didn't know when, and she didn't know how, but she could feel it in her bones. The Titan fleet moved through space like silent predators. Their dark hulls, designed to absorb scans, made them nearly invisible against the void. The Council had no idea what was coming. Earth had spent centuries preparing for war, and now their forgotten fleet was about to announce humanity's return. On board the Havoc 9, Lieutenant Aaron Vega adjusted his flight controls as the fleet approached their first target, Outpost Sci-Fi, a key Council listening station. It was heavily guarded, surrounded by defense platforms, and patrolled by automated war drones. If Earth wanted to send a message, this was the place to do it. General Marcus Steele's voice crackled over the comms. "This is Titan Fleet Command. No warnings, no negotiations. Hit them hard." The attack began without mercy. The Havoc 9 led the charge, breaking through enemy defenses with unmatched speed and precision. Council ships scrambled to respond, but they had never faced human war tactics before. Their battle formations were rigid, predictable. The Titan fleet, however, fought like wolves, fast, brutal, and unpredictable. Explosions lit up the sky as railguns and plasma cannons tore through alien hulls. Fighters weaved between enemy ships, striking at weak points. Council forces tried to send a distress signal, but Earth had already jammed their communications. No help was coming. Inside Outpost Sci-Fi, alarms blared as officers ran in panic. One of them, a reptilian Selvari, trembled as he watched the destruction unfold on his screen. This isn't possible," he stammered. "The humans don't have this kind of power." A nearby officer turned to him, eyes wide with terror. "They do now." In less than an hour, the battle was over. Outpost Sci-Fi was reduced to wreckage. Floating in the darkness of space, survivors were left drifting in escape pods, their faces filled with shock. They had thought humanity would never dare challenge the Council. They were wrong. Back on Earth, the victory sent shockwaves through the resistance forces. Across the planet, people watched in awe as the footage of the battle spread through underground networks. The Council had taken a human child. Now Earth was taking the war to them. Deep inside a hidden Council prison, Lena Carter sat in her cell. She didn't know what had happened, but she felt it. A shift in the air, a change in the galaxy itself. The destruction of Outpost Sci-Fi sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. For centuries, the Council had ruled unchallenged, believing humanity to be nothing more than a primitive species. Now, in a single devastating attack, Earth had proven them wrong. The Titan fleet was real, and it was more powerful than anyone had imagined. Inside the Grand Hall of the Council, the High Chancellor and his advisors gathered in a state of panic. The air was thick with tension as holograms displayed the wreckage of Outpost Sci-Fi. The charred remains of Council warships drifted in space like tombstones, a silent warning to the galaxy. "This is unacceptable," an insectoid diplomat from the Ferencari Empire hissed. "The humans were supposed to be under our control. How did they get this kind of power?" A reptilian officer from the Selvar Dominion slammed his clawed hand on the table. "They have awakened something ancient. These are not normal warships. They're relics from their forgotten past." His voice lowered, almost in fear. "A past we know nothing about." The High Chancellor, a towering being with shimmering silver skin, narrowed his eyes. "This cannot continue. We must strike first. We must remind them who controls the stars." A silence followed his words, but it was clear. The Council was afraid. Meanwhile, aboard the Havoc 9, Lieutenant Aaron Vega studied the latest intelligence reports. The Titan fleet's attack had worked. The Council was in chaos, but there was still no sign of Lina Carter. General Steele's voice echoed through the command deck. The Council will regroup. They will retaliate, but we're not going to let them. His gaze moved across the officers in the room. We take the fight to their homeworld. Gasps filled the air. The Council's capital world, Prime Nexus, was the heart of their empire, fortified with the most advanced defenses in the galaxy. Attacking it was suicide. But Steele was not finished. He activated a hologram, displaying intelligence gathered by human spies. It showed classified Council documents, revealing why they had taken Lina in the first place. Lina Carter wasn't captured by accident, Steele said, his voice dark. The Council has been hiding something. According to their own records, she carries a genetic anomaly that could change the fate of humanity forever. The room fell silent. For years, humans had been told they were weak, that they were nothing compared to the elder races of the Council. But what if that was a lie? What if Lina was proof of something greater, something the Council had been trying to suppress? Vega clenched his fists. Then we're running out of time. The Titan fleet had won its first battle. But now, they weren't just fighting for revenge. The Titan fleet moved like a storm through the darkness of space, its warships cutting through the void in absolute silence. Their destination, Prime Nexus, the heavily fortified capital of the Galactic Council. This was the heart of the enemy's empire, protected by thousands of warships and planetary defense grids. No force had ever dared attack it. But humanity was different. Inside the command center of the Havoc 9, Lieutenant Aaron Vega studied the battle plans. He knew this fight would be unlike anything they had faced before. The Council's entire fleet was gathered at Prime Nexus, waiting for them. If they failed here, it would be the end of Earth's rebellion. But General Marcus Steele stood tall, his expression unshaken. We're not here for glory. We're not here for conquest. We're here to bring our people home. His eyes darkened. And to make sure the Council never dares touch humanity again. The order was given. The Titan fleet began its assault. As the human warships pierced into Council-controlled space, alarms blared across Prime Nexus. Council warships scrambled to form defensive lines, but they were too slow. The Titan fleet struck with surgical precision, overwhelming the defenders before they could react. Railguns fired at near-light speed, shattering enemy battleships in a single shot. Human fighter squadrons weaved through enemy fire, dodging plasma beams and missiles with unnatural precision. The Council's forces, once considered invincible, fell apart. Inside the war room of Prime Nexus, panic spread among the alien leaders. The High Chancellor watched in horror as human ships broke through every line of defense. How? He whispered, his silver skin pale. How are they this powerful? An officer trembled. We underestimated them. We always have. A massive explosion shook the city below. The Titan fleet had reached the planet's surface. Amidst the chaos, a team of elite human operatives infiltrated the Council's most secure prison facility, the place where Lina Carter was being held. Moving through the shadows, they eliminated guards silently, their advanced exosuits making them almost invisible. Inside her cell, Lina heard the distant sound of battle. They were here. As the door blasted open, a soldier in black armor stepped inside, his visor glowing red. He lowered his weapon and extended a hand. We're taking you home. For the first time in weeks, Lina felt hope. But as they moved through the prison, alarms blared. The Council had activated its last weapon, a planet-destroying superweapon designed to obliterate entire worlds. The High Chancellor's voice echoed across the system. Surrender, or we will erase Earth from existence. Silence fell over the battlefield. The Titan fleet held its fire. Vega's voice came through the comms, his tone like steel. Then we take the weapon before they can use it. The Titan fleet hovered over Prime Nexus, its massive warships locked in a tense standoff with the Galactic Council's remaining forces. The battlefield was eerily silent. The Council's superweapon, a planet-killing orbital cannon, was now aimed directly at Earth. One command, and billions would die. Inside the Havoc 9, Lieutenant Aaron Vega's jaw tightened as the High Chancellor's voice crackled through the comms. You will surrender, or Earth will be erased. In the past, humanity might have bowed to such threats. But not anymore. Not today. General Steele stood firm, his eyes locked onto the holographic display of the superweapon. We don't negotiate with murderers, he said coldly. We destroy them. Vega nodded. Then we take that weapon before they use it. The order was given. As the Titan fleet engaged the remaining Council warships, a squad of elite human operatives launched toward the superweapon's control station. Their drop pods cut through the planet's atmosphere like meteors, slamming into the facility with precise force. Inside the station, alarms blared. Council guards rushed to their positions, but they were too late. The humans were already inside, silent, fast, and deadly. Commander Sarah Kane, leader of the strike team, moved through the hallways like a shadow, her rifle eliminating targets with ruthless efficiency. Every step brought them closer to their objective, the weapon's core. In a hidden control room, the High Chancellor watched the security feeds in horror. The humans were unstoppable. For centuries, the Council had believed them to be weak, insignificant. Now, they were proving to be the deadliest force the galaxy had ever seen. Seal the control room, the Chancellor barked. They must not reach the core. But Kane and her team were already there. In the heart of the facility, the operatives fought through the final line of defense. Plasma bolts flew, explosions shook the structure, but the humans pushed forward. Lynna Carter, now free and wearing an advanced exosuit provided by her rescuers, ran alongside them. She wasn't just a helpless prisoner anymore. She had seen the truth. They took me because they were afraid, Lena said, her voice filled with determination. They knew I was different. They knew what I could become. At the weapons control terminal, the Council's last engineers desperately worked to activate the firing sequence. The countdown to Earth's destruction had begun. Kane didn't hesitate. Shut it down. Lena stepped forward, placing her hand on the terminal. The moment she did, the entire station flickered with energy. The systems recognized her. A gasp spread through the room. The weapon had been designed to respond to only one kind of DNA, the same DNA Lena carried. The Council had feared her for a reason. With a thought, Lena overrode the system. The countdown stopped. The weapon shut down. And in that moment, the Council lost its greatest advantage. Above Prime Nexus, the Titan fleet pushed forward, overwhelming the remaining enemy forces. Council warships broke formation, retreating in terror. Their leaders had abandoned them. Their defenses had failed, and their ultimate weapon had been stolen by the very people they had tried to control. In the war room, the High Chancellor trembled as he watched his empire collapse. The Galactic Council's empire was in ruins. Their warships burned in orbit, their defenses shattered, and their greatest weapon now rested in human hands. Across the stars, the once mighty rulers of the galaxy watched in terror as Earth's forgotten fleet stood victorious over their capital. But the war was not over. Inside the High Council chamber, the surviving members of the Council cowered before the massive holographic display. It showed Earth's Titan fleet, weapons charged, ready to strike. The High Chancellor, his silver skin now dull with fear, turned to his advisors. "We must surrender," he whispered. But it was too late for surrender. On board the Havoc 9, General Marcus Steele stood at the command console, watching as human troops secured the last enemy strongholds. His face was cold, unreadable. He had fought in many battles, but this one was different. This was the moment of judgment. A transmission came through. The High Chancellor himself appeared on the screen, his voice shaking. We acknowledge humanity's strength. We were wrong to challenge you. Please, let us negotiate. Steele leaned forward. Negotiate. His voice was calm, yet filled with quiet fury. You stole one of our children. You threatened to destroy Earth. His eyes narrowed. Tell me, Chancellor, if we were the ones begging for mercy, would you have spared us? The Chancellor's mouth opened, but no words came, because they both knew the answer. No, Steele said. You wouldn't have. The Titan fleet charged its weapons, but before the final order could be given, Lena Carter stepped onto the command deck. The young girl, once a prisoner of the Council, now held the fate of the galaxy in her hands. Enough, she said, her voice steady. Steele turned to her. They deserve to be wiped out. Maybe, Lena admitted, but if we do this, we're no better than them. She looked around at the soldiers, the officers, the screens showing billions of frightened alien civilians. They wanted us to be monsters. Let's prove them wrong. A silence followed her words. Then, finally, Steele exhaled. He turned back to the comms. The Council will dissolve immediately. Their fleets will surrender. Humanity will take its place as equal rulers of the stars. The High Chancellor, beaten and broken, nodded in submission. Earth had won. Days later, the Titan fleet returned home, its mission complete. Across the galaxy, news of humanity's rise spread like wildfire. No longer were they the underestimated newcomers. They were now a superpower. In the ruins of the old Council capital, alien races gathered before a new governing body. The Solar Accord had been formed, led not by oppression, but by balance. The era of humanity's vengeance was over. Now came an era of humanity's rule. And in the depths of space, where forgotten secrets still lurked, one truth remained.